My name is Jos van der Sterren. I'm a researcher and lecturer at Breda University of Applied Sciences. In this video, I'll speak about tourism, the recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, and what are the new segments in tourism after the pandemic. Breda University of Applied Sciences is a mid-scale university in the Netherlands. It's located in Breda. It has 7,224 students currently, of which 18%, so 1 out of every 5, an international student. Also, our staff is pretty international, with almost 18%. Since 1966, we're the leading institute in tourism, leisure and hospitality. Currently, Breda University offers 8 domains of expertise: built environment, facility, games, hotel, leisure and events, logistics, media and tourism. When you look at the degree programs, there are several programs at bachelor level and master's level. We have professional bachelor programs and academic or scientific bachelor programs, and academic master's programs, as well as professional master's programs. Specifically for tourism, there's a professional bachelor program in tourism, an academic bachelor program in Bachelor of Science in Tourism, and a Master in Arts in Tourism Destination Management. Also, there's a Master of Science in Leisure and Tourism Studies. The students come from everywhere. Over 77 student nationalities are studying in Breda universities, and we have currently 1,288 international students. Students go abroad for international placements in many countries. There are almost 700 international placements taking place every year, and we have over 120 partner universities globally in all the continents of the world. Over 150 students go abroad on exchange every year. Breda University operates from a very modern, up to standard campus that was refurbished in 2016, and as of 2018 is the central domain of our work. All the academies are together in this campus, which is a green park environment where students can relax, study, sport, and also recover. Academy for Tourism is the largest academy and also the oldest academy of Breda University. Academy for Tourism currently offers 1,750 students bachelor and master courses at all levels. Tourism can be studied in Dutch as well as English. All programs are bilingual or English taught. The presentation that I'll be presenting to you about tourism focuses on the COVID-19 pandemic on global tourism. That has a very big impact on the tourism industry. Travel and tourism has been impacted strongly and will recover. The question is how it will recover and what is needed from professionals to operate in the future tourism business. This presentation has 5 parts. First, we'll talk about the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on tourism. Then I'll speak about the recovery in 5 phases. There are 4 keys to recovery. We'll have some reflections on future consumer segments, and we'll talk about successful tourism destinations. Tourism is a resilient industry. It will recover from this pandemic and also from future pandemics. It has recovered from crisis in the past and will also do so in the future. More and more people travel globally, and it is expected that people will again travel as soon as the pandemic is under control. Travel and leisure are seen as a basic right and as a necessity, and it's also needed for cultural interaction, and innovation and sustainability will guarantee that the industry will survive this crisis. It also offers challenges and opportunities for tourism and travel industry. When we look at the impact of COVID-19 on the tourism industry, we see that it is huge. It's the most serious crisis since World War II. The global annual GDP, gross domestic product, reduced 3 to 4%. However, also, every crisis offers opportunities. Businesses can reflect on the negative impacts of tourism. Government can take into account over-tourism impacts, so too many people in one place. And there is an option to manage destinations in a sustainable way. In any case, what we know is that recovery of tourism will unfold in phases, and that knowledge exchange and collaboration will be key to a successful recovery for tourism destinations. When we look at the World Tourism Organization, we see that in 2020, over 74% dramatic drop of international tourism arrivals. It means that global tourism came to a standstill in 2020. It means that many businesses have not survived or have closed their business temporarily. Hotels, airlines, restaurants, tour operators. It's expected that this will continue at least in 2021 for a certain period of time. Now that vaccination is starting in most countries, it's also seen there is some light at the end of the tunnel. So in the second half of 2021, recovery is expected. But until that moment, the global tourism and travel industry will have a hard time to survive. This slide gives a little bit more detail of the impact of COVID-19 on tourism. World Tourism Organization has a tracker where you can see what the recovery process is. And we see here that global accommodation bookings in hotels was dropping in February 21, still 50% below the normal level. And also air transport, so seat capacity in airplanes and seat capacity in international airplanes were 60% or 70% lower than normally to be expected. This means that recovery is still not there. People are hesitant to travel or are not allowed to travel. Governments do not allow them in, or strict health measures are in place. So the impact will take along 21 again. This means that recovery will take also longer. This slide presents the recovery to bounce back tourism. It is expected in 22 or 23, and most probably in 24, 25, the recovery will be leading to a normal number of tourist international arrivals. That was the pre-COVID situation. You can see in this slide that until 2019, annually international arrivals were up to 1.4 billion. This has dropped until 320 million in the worst case scenario. And now it's going to be recovering the coming 5 years. So recovery will take time, but it will happen. This means that for you, if you are studying or wanted to study from a secondary school and you want to apply for Breda University, most probably as you graduate in 23, 24, the industry will be bouncing back again and will need professionals just like you. The World Economic Forum has indicated that recovery of tourism will take along 6 strategies. The first strategy relates to the client strategies. There will be a renewed focus on millennials. It is expected that all the generations will have more fear and will be more hesitant to travel international, and they will travel most probably more domestic. The tourism product will be focused more at local level. Local flavor is important. So strengthening local small and medium-sized enterprises is important for local governments. The mom and pop shops will lead the road to recovery. Competition will also take place at the local level. Domestic routes, domestic experience, collaboration with local partners is key. The health sector will be a new industry that will intervene with the travel and tourism sector. There will be protocols, there will be rules and regulations, and these have to be communicated very clearly to clients. Vaccination and tests should be available with low threshold levels. When it comes to marketing, digitalization is key. Online services are not an option anymore, it's mainstream, it's needed, compulsory. Businesses will meet online, conferences will take online, virtual experiences with artificial intelligence will take place online as well. And sales channels will move more and more towards direct interaction. There will be a temporary drop in business to business. The global tourism and travel industry will recover from the COVID pandemic, that's for sure. It is expected that this recovery will take place in 5 phases. These will be explained shortly. The first phase of recovery is basically no recovery. It's a phase of no tourism, the absence of tourism and travel. This is still the phase that we are living today. In Europe, but also outside Europe, tourism still is in a very, very low mode of survival. It's a complete paralysis. This means that businesses have the option to revise their business model. They can try to see what mechanisms they can use to improve their cash flows. This also means that you have to lay off staff. It means that less people will be working in the short term in your company. But also that you can think about your products and your services. How can I do better? What can I improve to attract clients once the pandemic is over? Also, tourism businesses have to adjust to the new normal and the rules of social distancing. 1.5 meters distance, make sure you have face masks, make sure you have contactless services, etc., etc. These all to prepare for phase 2. Phase 2 is the phase that also happens in phase 1, where you design virtual experiences. These could be experiences for leisure or for business. Online meetings and events have taken a flight. A very, very big increase in online meetings has taken place. And we know already that this is never going to end. Online meetings and events, online work, homework will be part of the future. This means that the travel and tourism industry will adjust to this. Also, online virtual destination experiences have been developed. You can see now the Paris Eiffel Tower, you can see all the top destinations in the world with the VR glasses and with artificial intelligence. These new markets, they add a dimension to the normal experiences in tourism. It is not a substitute, it is adding to this. And this gives big opportunities for the situation when the pandemic is over. The third phase of recovery is what we call domestic tourism. And it has taken place already. It's the first stage where people really start to travel again as soon as the restrictions are taken away. So when the bars are open again, when the hotels are open again, attractions and theme parks are open again, people will take short trips, day trips. Maybe they will stay, but usually they will just go one day to one place and then go back in the evening. If the accommodations are open again, they might stay for one night, but they will be short trips. Also, there will be strict safety and health protocols to adhere to. And increasingly, you see there are tests, COVID-19 spreading tests. So now we see in many countries already tests taking place with concerts, events and sports games to know what happens if you put people together in a large event. Clients are nervous and scared, so this means that vaccination passports will be needed and maybe medical protection will be needed. So there is a crossover with the medical sector. Cross-border tourism is phase 4. Cross-border tourism happens when people go from one country to another. Until this moment, it's not happening because most countries have their borders closed. Or if people are allowed in, it's only for emergency cases or for work, and they have to be quarantined for 1 week to 10 days. When cross-border tourism happens again, most probably this will first be done by land, by car and by trains. There will be EU agreements on safe corridors for people to travel. The second phase, which is the last and most open phase, will be the phase of airline travel. There will be many restrictions and they will be adjusted every day to the real-life information on COVID-19. Also, there's a new set of client demands. Different services will be needed in the airports, in the train stations, for people traveling by cars, in gasoline stations. Everywhere you will need different types of services to make sure that no COVID pandemic will be increasing again. And the last phase is the reopening of global tourism. One thing is for sure, it will never be back to normal. We do know that travel will be different from here. Basically, people have become much more scared, people are much more aware of the risks of traveling, and we need to regain the confidence of the travelers and the tourists. The need to travel will be there, but the way how to travel, we have to be reinventing that. So the question is how to respond to the new generations of travelers' demands. We will have to adjust to new market environments. There will be linkages with other industries, health industries, mobility, different type of mobility services, and also sustainable development will be key in the future. When we look at the future travel customer segments, one can think of 4 different types of segments. The first segment is a segment that will be so scared to travel and only have virtual experiences. The segment of travelers and tourists that is now limiting themselves the most. The second segment is a segment where people travel but only within their own country or their own neighborhood. Domestic travel only. The third segment are travelers that take the risk of going abroad internationally, but they are very strict in selecting their destinations. They will look to hospitals, they will look to medical care, they will look to hygiene restrictions, and they will also look to sustainability issues. And the last segment is a segment of people that will take travel as business as usual. This segment will be starting small, but will be increasing over time. In any case, for the 4 segments, there is a very deep impact of social distancing that will take place the coming 5 to 10 years. This means that tourists will be open to local flavor experiences, but also will be keen on sustainable development. Hygiene will be key, not only the quality of hygiene, but also accessibility of hygiene and health services. Tourists are insecure and scared. They need visible measures. They not necessarily need to be effective, but they need to be sure that the country or the destination or the place that they will visit is taking this thing seriously. Also, customers are tech savvy. They want high quality online services from the beginning to the end. Global tourism destinations will have to review their modus of operations after the COVID pandemic. They can operate in a sustainable manner and operate differently after the COVID pandemic. Shortly, we will explain how this can be done. Breda University is a specialist in tourism destination management. In this case, we'll talk about what future tourism destinations can do to attract these new visitors. For that, it's good to look at the tourism value chain. The tourism value chain is the chain of services and products that is offered to the tourist. It starts when you book a flight or you book a hotel, and when you organize your trip. The second stage in the chain is the transportation. You move from one place to another, by car, by bike, walking, by plane. The third service that you make use of in the value chain is accommodation. You sleep outside your own house, for 1 night, for 2 nights, for more nights. The fourth service relates to food and beverages. You eat in restaurants or you eat outside your own house. And then there are several activities in the value chain, such as the purchase of handicrafts. You can work in tourism assets. You can have leisure excursions and tours. And also, lastly, in the value chain, there are tourist services. Already you see that the tourism value chain is very complex and it's composed of many different types of businesses. If we are to protect the traveler and the tourist in the future and make sure that he or she is safe, it's very key that these actors in the value chain collaborate. So a successful tourism destination in the post-COVID-19 world takes a sectoral focus. It means that it will include new actors in the value chain, health, insurance, safety actors, and it assures that stakeholders collaborate better. This counts for public as well as private sectors, as well as the communities. It requires 3 things. Governments, public sector needs to show leadership. This means agreeing on new laws, norms, protocols, health services, and education services. The private sector needs to follow these rules, to educate the traveler. And the local community, the people that live in the cities and the places that we visit, need to be an example to create a safer society. This was the end of this presentation. I hope that you have liked this. It's a little bit insight in what Breda University of Applied Sciences is doing in tourism. Please, if you think that BUAS is the right institute for you, take the BUAS quiz, go on a virtual campus tour, check out the online open day, chat with our students, or go to the YouTube channels or social media. You can contact us wherever we are and wherever you are. Our campus is also full online. We have managed to go and deliver full online courses last year, and we will continue to do so. Although obviously we hope that the tourism sector will be open again and that also you'll be allowed to travel abroad for placements, for international experiences like field trips and exchange experiences as well. Thank you for watching this presentation. I'll hope to see you in September and I hope that we meet again in Breda University of Applied Sciences.
Kalbėjom ką tik apie turizmą ir turizmo studijas Breda universitete. Kiek tau pačiam tai žinomas dalykas yra? Kiek tai aktualios studijos lietuviams?
Pakankamai žinoma, Karoli. Turbūt aš pats mokydamasis mokykloje, viena turbūt iš specialybių, kuria tikrai pats domėjausi, buvo turizmų sektorius. Turbūt daugelį asocijuojasi turizmą su kelionėm, su viešbučiais tikriausiai turizmas asocijuojasi. Tai galbūt asmeninė patirtim, kokią galiu pasidaryti, kadangi tikrai daug universitetų yra tekę apkeliauti ir pabuvoti, tai tekę būti keletoje Olandijos universitetų, šiuo atveju nebuvau Bredos universitete kol kas, bet yra tekę būti ir lankyti būtent turizmo, toliau aptarnavimo specialybių fakultetus. Tai galiu pasakyti, kad tikrai beprotų įdomus mokslas ir Olandijai turbūt, jeigu pasižiūrėsit universitetuose turizmą, tai jisai yra ypatingai praktinis. Ir kaip pavyzdys, aptarnavimų sektorėje viename iš universiteto Olandijoje, kada lankiausi, jūs pabandykit patys įsivaizduoti, kad universitetų viduje yra realiai veikiantis viešbutis, realiai veikiantis restoranas, Kada tu ateini į patį fakultetą ir tau dėstytojas pradeda aiškinti, kaip veikia visas procesas, tai tu netgi pagal rūbų studentų gali atskirti, kurie yra pirmakursis, antrakursis, trečiakursis, ketvirtakursis, kurie mokinasi absoliučiai viską, turbūt nuo užsakymų, kada priiminėja, nes realiai veikiantis viešbutis, iki kambarių tvarkymų, administravimo visų darbų, toliau jie mokosi aptarnavimo kultūros.
Tai iš esmės vienu metu studijuoja ir tuo pačiu metu dirba.
Tikrai taip, ir dar už tai jie gauna ir atlyginimą, bent jau tame universitete.
Tai jie realiai studijuoja tą darbą, kurį jau dirba tenai, universitete.
100% ir kada mes kalbam apie tą išskirtinumą studijų užsienio, arba šiuo atveju Breda, tai yra Applied Science, tai yra taikomumo mokslo universitetas, tai ten yra akcentuojama didžioji dalis praktika. Ir ką minėjau, ta prasme, tai ne tik tai serviruoti stalus, bet ir patiekti maistą, gauna virtuvės pagrindų, kas yra ruošiama, iš kokių ten reiškia visų šitų sudedamųjų dalių patiekalas yra gaminamas. Tai jūs patys pabandykite įsivaizduoti žmogų, kuris 3 arba 4 metus priklausomai nuo programos praeina ant tiek praktinę tą dalį, jis atėjęs bet kuriam darbdaviui turbūt sukuria pridėtinę vertę čia ir dabar. Nereikia į jo investuoti.